right, well, thank you for joining me back here. I'm starting out with just taping down my postcard to the included chipboard in your cart, in your postcard kit. So I'm just using that washi tape, and I'm just going to tape down all four sides of my paper to prevent buckling and curling or little ripples in your paper as you're wetting it down completely. And I got that one a little bit crooked, so I'm just trying to fix that really quick and try to get a nice straight line as best I can. All right, I've got that tape down on all four sides. I'm just gonna tuck the edges of that tape over. And this one, I'm going to pretty much completely wet the entire paper with my large round brush with clean water, just like we've done for some of the other postcards. I don't need to get it completely wet because this one I'm just going to have the color kind of spread in, and we'll spread it around a little bit more. So I'm taking the Recurts Blue, which is that blue gray shade, and I'm going to water that down a little bit just so I get a really, really faint gray blue, and this will be the sky section. I'm just going to kind of sweep that color across, kind of leave some white areas. You don't need to completely cover this and get a really dark color. We want this to be kind of like a hazy sky. Now, certainly if you wanted to make your sky a little bit bluer, you could mix in a little bit of the prairie sky color. But I'm going to be using that for my water, so I don't necessarily want to have a similar color for my sky, so I chose to go with that more gray-blue color and make it a hazy sky. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of that Recurts Blue with the Bur Oak to get a little bit of a darker rock color, like almost black. I'm just going to kind of make a little island that kind of comes off, or maybe it's a peninsula coming off from the side view where my trees are going to live. So I'm just making kind of a long, thin oval shape there. And then I'm going to add my beach area, which is going to be a light tan color. So you could take the Wild Rye, which is that brown oxide color, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of the oxide to it to make it a little more yellow. You can really mix together any of the shades you want to create a brown of your choosing and mix it together a little bit. You could do the darker brown, you could make it a rock beach. I'm going to pick kind of a brown sandy area. This is just my first layer. We are going to do another layer over this after it dries, so just kind of get the color in there. Here I'm taking the Prairie Sky for my water, and I'm going to have a little bit of a darker saturation as I get on the horizon line, and then without reloading my brush, just kind of sweep back and forth a little bit and leave white areas, because that would be kind of your waves or your light reflection, and try to give yourself a nice straight horizon line there. I kind of went a little bit behind where I did, or right above where I did my little island or my peninsula coming out there, and I've left some white streaks in there that would be like waves, or it could be light reflection. I just don't want that to be completely solid blue, so it actually looks like water and not just a blue blob. And I'm going to dry that really quick, and if you don't have a heat tool or a dryer, you can just let this sit off to the side for 20 minutes or so, and it should dry depending on how much water you used. But for the next layer, I don't want any of this to bleed in there. I want these to be a little bit more crisp in my details. I'm going to go over the blue. I'm just going to kind of try to straighten out my horizon line a little bit and make that more crisp so it's not bleeding into the sky as much. And just make some more streaks, still leaving the white areas. I'm just adding another layer to add a little bit more dimension. Sorry for my head in front of the... I was getting a closer look and I forgot the camera was there for a minute. All right, and so for the next little bit, I'm going to work on that little island. I'm going to mix that Recurts Blue with the Bur Oak. I'm going to do another layer over the top of that just to define it a little bit more, make it a little darker. And we'll still do another layer over that to add more rock type details, make it look a little bit less one-dimensional. All right, so now to do some trees. I'm so sorry for the shaking on this video. My mount is on my desk and it just moves a little bit when I'm mixing stuff closely to it. So mixing the Prairie Dropseed color, which is that lighter green shade, And if you want to darken that up, you can add more blue to it, or you could add some of that Recurts blue, which is a blue-gray color. This is actually a mix of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, which is kind of like a neutral gray in a way. So you could add that to darken up your green, or you could just go straight with the Prairie Drop Seed as it is. It's a lighter green, but just kind of play with the colors and mix them together to find a green shade that you like. And using my smallest brush, the round size 2, I'm going to start out with a central line just to be my guide. And then on either side of that line, I'm just going to make dabs with my brush, starting out small at the top and working my way down, getting wider as I go to create those trees. I like to do an odd number of trees because I think it's a little more pleasing to the eye than doing an even number. So I'm going to do 5 trees here. So it doesn't look like pears. You can kind of vary up the height of your trees as well and the shades of green. So for one tree, maybe add a little bit of yellow to the mix, or some more of the Recurts blue, that blue-gray color, or add a little more blue. You could even add a little bit of the cardinal flower, the pink color in there, and that will deepen it as well. So you can give a little bit of variation to your trees as well that way. So the next one I'm going to go just a little bit taller than the last one. Make that up a little bit higher. And I'm just making little dabs with the small brush to give the look of the branches. And you can kind of make some kind of poke up or down. Just try to vary it up so that it's not completely even on all sides of it. It'll make it look a little more natural. And try to go as light as you can. With the small brush, you have a smaller point on your brush. So if you press down and apply more pressure, you're going to get bigger brush strokes. So try to go pretty lightly. I'm quickly going in here now with the blend of the Recurts blue and bur oak, and I'm just making some kind of oval square shapes to be rocks along my little rocky shore there, and kind of have some of them overlap the edge of your water where they'd be sticking out. Just going to make that little island look a little bit more dimensional. And then using your same brush, you can take a mixture of the wild rye with a little bit of that oxide. And I'm just going to add some quick little lines back and forth on my beach area just to give that a little bit more dimension as well. And if you want to go back over any layers of anything else, like a little bit more blue on your edge of your shore, just go ahead and add those in now. After it's dry, if it looks like it needs a little bit more anywhere, you can always add more layers on top. And I'm just going to go ahead and dry this, and then we can peel our tape off. All right, and if this is your first time watching one of my videos, the way that I like to do my tape with washi tape is to pull it away at a really sharp angle away from your paper, almost rolling it off. The reason I do this is so that it is less likely to rip my paper. I had tucked the tape over on that one, so I have to pick that off. A little bit hard sometimes with my fingernails. And I'm just pulling that away as far back as I can at a nice sharp angle so that I'm not pulling it straight up. I want to roll the paper off of, or roll the tape right off of the paper. So hold on to your paper and your backing board there, and then pull at a nice sharp angle away from the paper. And you can pull it toward you or away from you. It doesn't really matter as long as you're pulling it at that sharp angle like that so it doesn't rip the paper up. So that I got some nice sharp lines because I taped my tape down very, very well, and it looks really great. Thanks for joining me, guys.